So, self-similarity. A few years ago, I began experimenting with digital software with which you can create myriad fractal forms. A fractal is a rough or fragmented geometric shape that can be split into parts, each of which is approximately a reduced size copy of the whole. This property is called self-similarity. Repetition of the fractal form in design is referred to as iteration. Think of waves rolling in on the shore. That's classic fractal form, self-similarity and iteration. Mathematician Benoit Mandelbrot, who just passed away this year, coined the term in 1975. It's derived from the Latin fractus, meaning broken or fractured. Once I began incorporating these forms in my new media compositions, I realized I've always used this form in my traditional art, acrylic painting, and glass design. Going back 25 years, in 1986, fumble, I created my abstract acrylic painting, Checkmate. Okay. The reason I don't have it here today, it's a 36 by 30 inch on canvas. It's currently on exhibition at the Abenaki First Nation Museum in Odanak, Quebec, at my solo show there. It's on display alongside the same piece we have here, Decision, or Manservant. That will be the subtitle. Checkmate was a distinct marker in my career. I finally felt the freedom to let go and not censor myself in my creative impulses. I'll leave this on the podium for you to have a look after, a little closer look. I resurrected elements of Checkmate, featuring it in this new digital art. You can see the receding, distorted panels in the background. That is actually from a photograph I have of Checkmate, and I've reworked it into this new digital composition. And I also dressed the figures in the skin of that original painting. So that was all very free-form, traditional acrylic painting. Creative chaos is one of my interests. Getting into a composition process with no preconceived notions other than the materials at hand and the desire to explore and innovate. Leaving inhibition aside is key for me. Spontaneity fuels every piece I'm involved with. I studied audio and video arts in college in Winnipeg in the late 70s. The technology at the time just didn't appeal to me. It seemed a little, I don't know, primitive. I hate to say that, but even in the 70s, it was like, come on, I haven't got all minute. I found employment in various media on graduation. The skills I put to use then and as a television commercial copywriter, scriptwriter, and radio announcer have come in handy in regard to my current pursuit. I purchased my first computer in the late 90s. Thank you, Ken Botan, for your guidance and also faith in me in that regard. Audio editing capabilities, visual process, all in one workstation, computers, unlimited potential, thought I died and gone to heaven. Only I got to stick around. I learn new things every day. The learning curves are sensational, and I'm just now becoming reasonably fluid in my production capabilities. The audio component of my art video, I studied music in my youth, and I have a great appreciation for composition, cadence, and all that. I play a bit of keyboard, mostly one hand, because I played an accordion as a child. Once I got a piano, I realized I was looking down the keyboard like this. And you play blind on a 120 bass accordion, you learn to freeform here. So anyway, I play a bit of keyboard. My strength in audio composition comes in working with existing music tracks, which you can purchase royalty-free, often in combination with my original compositions, creating new soundtracks to use with my visuals. When I first began considering this concept of the show, the proposal for this exhibition, my thoughts centered on the fascination I have with kaleidoscopic patterns and iteration. Vibrant colors, soothing, exploding, exciting. I always wanted to get my art moving. Although there's a distinct element of kinesis in my static pieces, I swear if you see this full size and look at it long enough, it starts to move. You start, okay? But I wanted to really get them moving. Contemporary video methods are allowing me to do just that. I began a self-study of the process of flash animation about 3 years ago. Flash is a bit of a misnomer. I really don't like the word. It's a poor choice of name for the process because people say, oh, it's flashy. I get it, because a lot of the work that I do is very, shall we say, intense. So it's a contraction from the words future and splash animation, which was an early form of new media editing. So it's not that it's about being flashy, it just happens to be a name to describe an idiot, editing that to process, okay? I still have a passion for traditional media, as seen as my acrylic paintings and glass. That's more or less down all in that far corridor. I'll also go back to the idea of the video editing. I use a variety of editing styles. Some old school frame-by-frame animation in combination with contemporary technique. And going back to the traditional media, in the triptych trichotomy down, the very first triptych on the wall, you'll see that is an acrylic painting, but I've overlaid it with glass wafers. I love just adding. Iteration, repetition in design is hypnotic. It's an intrinsic part of our, and I believe, other worlds. As a child, I dreamed of being a magician. I wanted to build a roller coaster in the basement. Well, you know, when we're new to the world, fresh, uncluttered, we dream, and we dream big. Nothing seems impossible. I look around the gallery now and I see my roller coaster, the weaving together of ideas I'm driven to share. Here it is. Whatever thoughts are evoked on viewing my art, this is the conversation we're having. Now, before we bring down the lights for the video, it runs 4.5 minutes. We all know what this particular date, September 11th, signifies in our history. We will always remember.